so welcome to another WoW Weekly with Myst, and for this week we have the PvP Brawl Shadowpan Showdown, and the final section of LFR will be available this week. And as far as Renown, for now on, it will just go up every 2. So that would make the cap this week 64. And the weekly will be pet battles. And a little pre-warning, but for those that like to power level pets, the power leveling event will coincide with this week's pet battles. So the day that will happen is on Thursday. So if you want to power level your pets, in your garrison on Thursday will be the appropriate team, and you will be able to power level your pets then. For those that have never taken part in this, I will leave a video that I made a couple of years ago or so on how to set up for this. If any of you guys don't have the proper stuff, let me know. I have a garrison that's fully equipped that I can bring you in if you wanted to power level pets. And yeah, one big thing to note is that this is a 1 day only. So if you don't make it on Thursday, you're not going to see another one for a while. This is going to be the last power leveling of the pets for the year, so we're not going to see one in quite a bit. For NA, anyway. And that is basically everything going on this week. As far as my goals, accomplishments, and all that, the major goal was my professions, and you are looking at that right now. So this is me doing my professions. Every expansion, what I do is when the expansion starts, the first profession to ever hit max is either my enchanting or inscription. I pick one of the two on my main to do first. And then whichever one I don't pick, I purposely leave till the very end of the expansion generally. Because what I do is I hop on all my alts, max out all their professions so that my druid, which is my main character, can get the massive achievement number for the full achievement. So as you can see here, the Shadowlands Master of All, I'm really happy to have that out of the way. I can, do whatever I want on my professions now. It's really tough when you want it to be on a certain character because you have to remember to avoid that profession. That's really the toughest part, is that, and for me, it was really tough because it was my enchanting, right? So I was like, okay, hopefully I don't get too many upgrades that need an enchant. So yeah, anyway, glad to have that done. Another thing that I accomplished this week that I actually accomplished right before doing this video is Rajani. I finally got that mount. And yeah, so this is a little clip here. It's gonna be a video on the channel this week. I'm sure you guys knew that. I always show you guys those videos. So this is me looting the item. You just trade in the item and get the mount, and really, really cool looking mount. I really like it. And another accomplishment I did, which you've already seen in videos, but because last week's WoW Weekly was really short due to the heat wave, I had pre-did that video a couple of days earlier. But one of my biggest accomplishments is my shoulders that you see on my druid. They come from Emerald Nightmare. And basically, in order to get them, you gotta run Emerald Nightmare on either Heroic or Mythic, and it's the final boss that drops the shoulders. And they are a serious low drop rate. I've been going after them for a really long time. Since I changed my transmog, I kind of wanted shoulders that went really well with it. I'm a character that usually hides my shoulders, and for my druid, I wanted to finally wear some decent shoulders. She'd only ever worn, like, I had these green shoulders last expansion that maybe you guys remember that have watched my videos for a while, and they had like tendrils that would like move, that would go back and forth, and they looked really cool. But I wanted something that fit this red one, and yeah, I was so happy to loot them. They're such a low drop chance. On the black market, every time I see them, they go for at least $500,000. And I really didn't want to pay $500,000. So I was really happy to get that done. And on that topic, I'm practically done with Emerald Nightmare. There's only 2 pieces I need out of Emerald Nightmare, and they're like 2 of the toughest, aside from the shoulders. So luckily I got one of the toughest out of the way. But the 2 pieces remaining is the Illusion Nightmare, which is always on the black market for millions. And then the other piece is, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head here, but it's a zone drop. It's soulbound, so that's unfortunate. And it's for leather, you know, my druid. And yeah, I remember their hands, their gloves, but they're so tough to get because for those that have done Emerald Nightmare, maybe you remember that next to nothing actually is loot off the trash. You can kill like all the trash in that whole raid, and you might loot maybe 5 items if you're lucky. It's yeah, the trash drops are really kind of crappy in Emerald Nightmare. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I finally loot the Nightmare, because if I don't have the Soulbound zone drop by then, I don't know, it's like, I'm a completionist, so I don't want to like not go after it, but I think we might take a break at that point. And yeah, so that is all my accomplishments. As far as goals, I think we're just gonna kind of like not have any goals this week. I've got some goals set up for the next video, the next WoW Weekly, so we'll just take a week off goals and we'll return to them in the following week. Okay, so that pretty much calls it on that, so let's get to some news. Okay, so the first piece of news is that the SOD Hall of Fame is closed now. So they do have 100 guilds that have downed Sylvanas on Mythic. And the Alliance, of course, you know, if you're not new to the scene, you're probably pretty certain that I'm going to say that the Alliance is still open. There's still lots of room for people to get their Mythic clear. And yeah, so Horde's at 100, and at the time of recording this, Alliance is at 24. So tons of time. And honestly, Alliance pretty much never hits 100 before they open it up to, you know, before they close it all and open up Mythic mode to premades. So for those that are unaware, that's kind of like how it goes. It's, you know, they give a bit of time for Horde and Alliance to be able to, you know, get their fame there. It is a title you get. Title and an achievement. And so the title for Sanctum of Domination is Fame Bane of the Banshee Queen. So yeah, once they close it, at that point you're able to go into premades to do Mythic mode cross-server. The next piece of news I have for you guys has to do with Group Finder, actually. And it is that you now have to be level 60 to list a Mythic Plus dungeon or a Shadowlands raid group in Group Finder. I imagine this is to try to get rid of some of the sellers. I don't know if that's really gonna help because I imagine some of those sellers are level 60s, but I guess we'll see. On the topic of Renown, I did mention earlier in the video here that it's going to be increased by 2 a week now. For those that are wondering when you will be able to reach Renown 80, that will occur on October the 19th. So basically the 2 ways, I'm sure by now you probably know the 2 ways, but just for those that don't, the 2 ways you can gain your 2 Renown per week if you're caught up is the Shaping Fate weekly, which is the Korthia quest, and then Replenish the Reservoir, which is the weekly Anima quest. If you're behind, there's lots of options. You can do LFR, world bosses will give you some. I recently found out that pretty much any rare will give you Renown, because I went and I literally only logged on my rogue, who is only like Renown 3. And all I did was I wanted to do the Venthyr Covenant mount farms. So I went after Hope Crusher, and then that other one that you summon through your conductor. And I was Renown 5 at the end of that. So yeah, you're basically getting Renown off rares. Also, tons of sources, battlegrounds, and yeah, there's quite a few different ways you can catch up, and very easy. My personal suggestion, as far as quick and fast, world bosses. Yeah, world bosses and rares, I would say, are the ultimate easiest way. Yeah. And of course, your callings, if you're really far behind, you should see some Renown on your callings. Another thing in news for this week has to do with the Sun King's Blessing. So if you're a fire mage, which I hope you are, because fire mages kick ass. I won't say recently, but over the past, maybe 4 months, I had swapped my frost mage to fire. I've done quite a transition with my mage, because from basically BC to BFA, I would say BC to Legion. I was strictly arcane. I love arcane mages. And then I swapped to Frost all the way up to Shadowlands. And then, a few months ago, I swapped to Fire. And Fire is amazing. I feel like Fire Mage is that character I must have sound on. I don't know if you guys ever mute your game and listen to music or whatever. I do all the time because I've heard everything in WoW a bazillion times. And I feel like with the Fire Mage, I've never heard procs so frequently before, I hear all the procs when I play my mage. So I don't know if that makes sense. It probably only makes sense to me. But yeah, it's definitely a volume on character. Anyway, the Sun King's Blessing. So that is the legendary. And basically it says after consuming 8 hot streaks, your next non-instant pyroblast cast within 5 seconds grants you combustion for 6 seconds. So due to some changes here, this has become the best in slot legendary for fire mages. So the changes is that it now properly activates after 8 hot streaks. Before it was 9, and it properly gains stacks from hot streaks spent on flame strike prior, it was only pyroblasts. And it also now activates combustion after casting a non-instant pyroblast or flame strike. And prior to this change, it would only be affected by pyroblast. So prior to all this, Disciplinary Command and Sun King's Blessing were kind of like comparison. Disciplinary Command is casting a Frostfire and Arcane spell within 10 seconds of each other. Increases your crit strike damage of all spells by 20%. This effect can occur once every 30 seconds, which actually sounds pretty amazing. That sounds like a pretty good one. But as of now, the Sun King's Blessing is now the best legendary for single target for fire mages. Okay, the next piece of news is something that I don't think I'm ever gonna go for, but I thought I'd add it in the news section here since it might interest some of you guys. So for those that played prior to Shadowlands, you might remember the Shadowlands pre-patch. And during that pre-patch, there was a 34 slot bag. It was called Papa's Mint Condition Bag. It was only available during the Shadowlands pre-patch. And they have now added that bag onto the black market. So this is the picture that we got shown here, and I just gotta say, like, I don't know if I'd spend 22,000 gold on a 34 slot bag. You know, I've got tailorers, so I don't know. But it is on there for those that maybe would. Hopefully it wouldn't go much higher than that. But let me know, would you spend 22,000 gold on a 34 slot bag? I guess 20k is like nothing nowadays, right? But it still seems like a lot. And the initial starting bid is 20k, so you wouldn't get it any cheaper than that. Me personally, one of the biggest reasons I think this would be a waste of money is because while 20k might not seem like a whole lot of money, you know, the next expansion's gonna come out and a 34 slot's gonna be like nothing, right? Yeah. And yeah, the bags keep getting better and better, right? So you will at some point be able to get a 34 slot bag at a decent price. Now, as far as bags, there's really only 2 of these bags that are 34 slot, and that is this Papa's Mint Condition bag, and then also one even more money, which is the Madman's Luggage. It's sold by the Mad Merchant, who is very well known for having high prices, and this bag is 500,000. So I guess if you're gonna compare it and you really want a 34 slot bag, then, you know, 20k isn't that bad compared to 500,000. So next up we have some 9.1.5 announcements. Not too much has been announced yet, but a couple of things have. So one big thing that really excited me is the new Druid Forms. So they have not mentioned what those forms will be. I'm sure we'll find out in the future. You know, I don't think 9.1.5 is very close, but I'm sure we'll get more info soon. And yeah, so the fact that they say new Druid Forms implies more than one, so I'm thinking maybe we might get a couple of new forms. The only problem I have with this is that we might be reading too much into it. It seems almost too good to be true that we'd be getting new Druid Forms. It's something I've wanted for so long, and I just feel like it's too good to be true that we're actually gonna get them. So I'm starting to think that they might be customizations to forms we already have. You know, like one big thing that I think would be awesome if this is in their plans is the boomkin. A lot of people have wanted like a more updated boomkin, you know, a boomkin where you can maybe tell the difference between a male boomkin and a female boomkin. And you know, as someone who has main druid for 17 years and literally stays in boomkin, like I don't use that glyph at all. I'm very much against that glyph, and nothing towards any of you guys that might use it. I understand why you would, but I would love to see a world where people aren't ashamed of their boomkin form to where they use that glyph, because that's got to be the reason, right? There can't be any other reason that you're using that glyph. It's because you don't like the way the boomkin looks. So I would love to see them do something with the boomkin form to where people actually want to use that form, because it saddens me when I see people, you know, hiding that form, you know. So it'd be nice to give them an extra incentive to actually use it. It just seems so wrong to me for you to play balance and you're not in the balance form, you know. So, and like I said, nothing against the glyph. I think the glyph is great if you're, you know, resto or something. So it would be cool to see some new forms, but yeah, I've just got a suspicion that it's not actually new forms, that it's more new customizations to the forms that are already there. But it would be cool. I would like to see some. I just didn't think that they were gonna focus at all. I thought druids were getting crap for forms this expansion, and I'll tell you why. Soulshapes. Yeah, the fact that Soulshapes are in the picture right now, and there's so many different things they're doing with that, I kind of figured they weren't gonna bother with Druid Forms while they're focusing on Soulshapes. So on the topic of Soulshapes, there is 3 more Soulshapes, which I mentioned not that long ago, like a couple of weeks ago, that I was holding off a Soulshape video because I knew there were more coming out. I knew we weren't done with them. So there will be the Shovel Tusk, the Kodo, and the Mammoth Soul that will be available. And there is also Crittershapes. So basically it allows players to transform into small critters such as squirrels. And, you know, that's all they've mentioned so far, but it definitely implies other critters as well. Also, they have mentioned that there's going to be different ear sizes for Void Elves. There's also going to be 5 natural hair color options for the Void Elves as well. So they definitely seem to be putting a little bit of focus to the Void Elves, which makes me happy. I love my Void Elf. Of course, I'm happy with my Void Elf. There's nothing I really want to change with her. But for those that aren't happy with their Void Elves, definitely going to be some more options. On the topic of customization, there's also going to be some new customizations to Nightborn and Lightforged Draenei. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the Lightforged Draenei, because my Lightforged Draenei, I feel like I only have it to have a Lightforged Draenei. Other than that, I felt like customization was pretty crap with that character. And the Nightborn, haven't we all wanted customization for the Nightborn since they basically came out? I think the Nightborn probably got the shaft the most as far as new allied races that had lack of customization. There's really not a whole lot you can do with the Nightborn. So this is gonna include new hairstyles, colors of your hair, facial hair, skin colors, the horns for, you know, the Rajani, tail length, tattoos, skin color, and all that. So now on the topic of 9.1.5, we don't really have much more. Nothing else has been discussed. But being that I've included that in the news, I thought it would be cool to speculate a bit. So my speculations for 9.1.5 is, well, my number one speculation is the Brawlers Guild. I thought we were going to get that in 9.1. So, yeah, I feel like we've waited a long time to get the Brawlers Guild back. And, yeah, definitely think that's coming. I also think there's going to be a Legion time walking that will show up. Of course, there's going to be some new mounts, new pets, and new toys. You know, usually there is. I think there's going to be a mini raid. There was a rumor that they mentioned a while back they weren't going to do that. But, you know, honestly, they also put right in an interview that they were not doing any customization in Shadowlands. And here we are with updated news of them doing customization. So I don't think it's totally off the table to think they might throw a mini raid in, even if they mentioned they weren't gonna. Also, I'd like to see them remove the anima cap. I think we're at the point where we don't need it anymore. Anima's faster, and yeah, I think it's time. And also, one other thing I'd like to see is solo islands. You know, I know we all hate islands, but we're farmers, right? So I would like to see the option for that. Just more solo queues in general, really. So you guys will have to let me know, what do you think will be in there? What would you like to see in the 9.1.5? Any ideas on when you think it will come out? Personally, I think October is a pretty good aim point. We don't even have PTR yet, right? So I definitely think October, November is more or less when we're gonna see it. The reason I think it's gonna be there like around October, November is because that's kind of when the anniversary event will occur, WoW's 17th anniversary, and I just think it's gonna kind of coincide together. I do think it's gonna be a small patch, though. I don't think it's gonna be a big patch. Okay, so the next piece of news has to do with Classic WoW. So this past week, there was basically like a Classic era public test realm that went live under the radar, I guess you'd say. And so some people had a chance to kind of look around, and since the servers went offline, a lot of people have been speculating a lot of things, wondering if it's gonna be a fresh classic. I personally think it very well could be, honestly, because they did send out that survey a while back where they were asking people if they wanted a fresh classic. They had asked if we wanted summoning stones and, you know, no world buffs and faster XP and all that. I think the faster XP, as long as it's not too fast, I think it would be okay. My personal opinion on this is I think a classic fresh would be good, and it does seem like it's needed right now, so yeah. So you guys will have to let me know if you play classic, of course. If a fresh did show up, what kind of things would you want changed in it. Okay, so the next piece of news I have, has to do more on the Overwatch side of things. So this next part was actually really sad to read when I first read it. It has to do with a voice actress from Overwatch. Her name's Christiane Louise, in case you want to go Google her. And she did quite a few voices. She was Mercy from Overwatch, and that's why this one kind of hit me, because Mercy's my favorite character in Overwatch. I have the most hours on Mercy, and then the second most on Reaper. So yeah. But she does the voice as Mercy in Overwatch, Cortana in Halo, Severe in League of Legends. She does a voice in Injustice, Gods Among Us, Zatanna. And The Simpsons, she did a voice for Helen Lovejoy. And the Thornberry, she was Debbie Thornberry. Avatar: The Legend of Korra, she was Kaya. And lots more. Those are just some. And, my favorite show is The Simpsons, and my favorite character from Overwatch is Mercy. So this one was, she does voice acting for a lot of things I really enjoy. I used to play a lot of Halo. Injustice, I never really played. I think I have that, though. But anyway, getting to the sad story here. So basically what happened is this guy killed her in her own home. And with the help of his mother and someone else that's unidentified, he attempted to hide her body in a vegetated area of the beach, one of the beaches there. And the guy that murdered her was supposedly a friend. It said that they had met at like a psychiatric clinic in 2017, and since then they had become pretty good friends. He was staying with her for the last few weeks, and even explained her disappearance to her own friends, saying that she had traveled with her boyfriend for like 2 weeks and didn't take her cell phone. Like, who doesn't take their cell phone, right? Now, I don't know what led to him confessing so quickly, but he did confess to the police, and he claimed that he was acting in self-defense against her, and that she was mentally unwell and under the influence of drugs and alcohol and possessed by the devil, and basically that she wanted his blood for some religious thing. And it just sounded really weird, honestly. It just was getting really weird. So anyway, long story short, it's been kind of speculated that she was killed around July 22nd. They figure it was around 2 weeks before people noticed her passing. So he has been arrested, and really sad story though. This story was on Instagram, and I saw it on Twitter. I have Instagram, but I don't do enough to actually see stories, like I go on, I post a picture, and then I log off, But I did see it on Twitter. I do frequent Twitter a little more than I do Instagram. And it was just really sad, really sad. Okay, so that pretty much covers all the news I have for you guys today. One more thing that I'd like to add, and that involves myself, my channel, our content, and all that. So I've been really missing streams lately. I really did not mean to take a 2-month break. Yeah, it's definitely been a while. It's been a while since I've hopped on stream, and I miss them. I miss doing mount runs, and I miss just kind of chilling out with you guys. You know, whoever, you know, happens to show up. I know streams are rough when it comes to, you know, like everyone has their own thing they're doing. It's tough to commit to a stream, which is honestly the reason why I focus YouTube videos more, because I know for many of you guys, and even myself when I watch streams, like you just can't be there all the time, right? And that's fine. I'm just gonna kind of do them whenever. But I would like to bring them back. I know I dropped the schedule for a while, but I know it's easier for you to know when I'm going to be there if there is a schedule. So I am putting a schedule back. And it's going to be Tuesday and Fridays. So Tuesdays will be mount and transmog type days. And Fridays will go back to variety. Fridays is usually variety unless no one picks anything and I feel like playing WoW. But yeah, so I thought that would be good. I've really missed doing the streams. So yeah, so Tuesday and Fridays. I am unsure if it's going to start this Tuesday, though. The only reason I say that is because today, at the time of this video posting, I'm actually getting my shot for COVID, the vaccination shot. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. I hear that most people are okay, you know, from it, but I'm not totally sure how I'm gonna feel, and so I might not stream. But if I feel fine from it, then there'll for sure be a stream on Tuesday. That is all I have for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this week's WoW Weekly. I hope you're having fun doing whatever you're doing. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.